thank you again for your time. We're really excited that all of you are here to learn a little bit more about the US16 MAX from Ripley Tools. As mentioned earlier, my name is James Helm. I'm the product manager for Ripley Tools. Alongside me here today, Aurelvis Mijanes, one of our senior engineers and key contributor in developing the US16, as well as the US16 MAX we'll be looking at today. Now, in today's agenda, we're going to be looking at the US16, the US16 MAX, how it really benefits customers and makes the job of today's electricians, for commercial electricians, CNI, utilities, alignment overall, just easier, safer, and a better solution than knives and other tools on the market today. So we're going to go through a couple of slides, talk about a few key points of the US16 MAX, and then Aurelvis is going to run a demonstration with the original US16 as well as the new US16 MAX to demonstrate its capabilities. So let's go ahead and jump over to the PowerPoint. At the end of the presentation, we will stop and ask some questions or allow some time for questions. So let's go ahead and do that. This is Ripley Tools. We've got 5 segments. The first is our electric utility segment, where there is a full range of offering from secondary distribution for lower voltage tools up to around 2 kV. Above that, we've got our medium voltage tools where Ripley really specializes from 2 kV up to 35 kV. And then beyond that, we've got a few tools for our high voltage offering. And today we're going to focus on the medium voltage space, really applicable to utilities, CNI, data centers, and we've seen a lot of growth in renewables specifically. Even oil and gas has a lot of applicability for a tool like the 16 MAX that we'll be talking about today. Ripley also offers leadership in fiber optic hand tools, coaxial cable preparation tools, as well as fiber optic test and inspect equipment and antenna alignment tools, which we're really excited about the future of as we continue to develop leadership there. So as mentioned, today we're here to talk about the US16 MAX. The US16 MAX really presents the ideal solution for quickly and safely stripping ultimately unlimited lengths of jacket off of medium voltage cable. The real advantage here is it's faster. There's no way even the most experienced lineman can move as quick with a knife as we can move with this drill operated tool. It's safer because it doesn't introduce any exposed blades into the jacket stripping process, and it's more repeatable. Every time, once the bushing is dialed in and the blade setting is set, that the tool is used, the tool will deliver a consistent, clean jacket strip to expose the concentric neutrals and allow for further preparation of the cable without any of the variables that even the most experienced lineman will introduce. The real key advantage of the US16 MAX and why it earns its MAX name is it's got a maximum capacity of 2.625 inches outer cable diameter. That is a pretty large cable size. You'll see we can cover up to 1,000 MCM or 1,000 KC mil. And when you're stripping those larger size jackets, it's really something that can be heavily fatiguing on the operator, and it can be really a difficult thing to do without a specialized tool. So this tool offers a new level of capability for that lineman. A unique feature is it's got blade adjustments in increments of 2/10,000ths of an inch per click, 2/1000ths of an inch per click, rough adjustments made via a nut driver. So what that means is with the tools already in the truck, a lineman can pull out his impact drill, put on that nut driver, and adjust the blade for either a blade changeout if needed, or adjusting kind of the rough increments on those larger jackets to get the blade set and correct. I mentioned earlier that it's a pretty fatiguing process to strip these large jackets, especially when you're working on a million cable. It's a challenge, and I don't think any electrician would dispute that it's something that's going to take a toll on you. The US16 MAX has a self-feeding design that's aimed specifically at that problem. So it will kind of propagate itself down the cable to continue the strip with no additional effort. So it's just as easy as drilling any kind of a screw into a drywall as it is to strip the jacket off of a rather large cable. And finally, it's got the drive shaft for a 3/8 inch hex to work with any standard drill. So it's drill brand agnostic, whether customers have Milwaukee, DeWalt, even Rigid or whatever brand they like. Customers are able to bring their own drill and utilize the US16 MAX. One feature customers may not always be aware of that Aurelvis will demonstrate here in a few minutes is that you can actually adjust the height of the tool to accommodate any drill. So if it's a taller or shorter drill than standard drill, it can be adjusted to allow for a more ergonomic experience. So we talked earlier, this tool really is applicable to a lot of different verticals, a lot of different industries. It's particularly well suited to utilities where they may be running underground cable for whatever reason. Renewables, especially where in solar farms, wind farms, either land-based or offshore wind farms, we've seen a real expansion in cable diameter. As there's more and more renewable energy being added to the grid, we see cables expanding in size, and that's where the genesis of a max size US16 came from. Data centers is another real high growth area that customers have been coming to Ripley and asking for a solution to help strip these larger size cables. Oil and gas, of course, has been a long-standing mainstay of energy production and distribution. And it's another key area where Ripley is able to offer a little bit of an advantage with this US16 MAX tool. So really a versatile application, but always stripping that medium voltage cable and providing customers with more solutions than they have had prior. So how exactly is the tool able to provide a clean strip on jacketed concentric neutral cable, as well as tape shield or flat strap? Well, we have precision designed bushings. So here in Cromwell, Connecticut, where the Ripley factory is, we're producing their bushings ourselves, and we're providing precision-made bushings to deliver a snug fit and allow customers to adjust the blade to exactly where it needs to be within really tight percentiles of allowing a little bit of jacket to be left over the concentric neutrals to avoid damaging the neutrals themselves in operation. As mentioned, the blade depth is adjustable, can be adjusted to deal with jacket from 175 to 420 mils thick. So if you have 133% over mold on the cable, this tool is still able to tackle that. And as mentioned, it's able to address not just jacketed concentric neutral, but also tape shield and flat strap cables as well, providing more versatility to the tool itself. What you're going to see customers are typically using to strip the cable or the jacket off of these cables today is lineman knives. And candidly, a lot of linemen, especially the experienced linemen, are really experts with these knives and have been doing it this way for a long time. But there's no denying the risk it introduces in the field and the toll it takes on the body. This US16 MAX reduces the damage of an exposed blade and that fatiguing operation. So it's really a multi-pronged win for the lineman who's able to reduce fatigue as well as remove an exposed blade from the situation. Other competition, Speed Systems has a couple of tools, but a lot of cable manufacturers don't recommend utilizing the neutral itself as kind of a ripcord to open the jacket up. And so that's not really a solution. As well as, again, it's a bit of a safety concern working with a potentially relatively sharp concentric neutral that's maybe been cut by a saw in the field as your kind of ripcord. And some of the other tools, the 1542, it's not designed for these large cables. Ripley has an adjustable tool called the US15 Pro Max that will score the cable and is able to address a wide range of cable sizes. However, it is a tool that does require a bit of a learning curve. So it's a very capable tool and we're very proud of it, but it's not going to be quite as fast because it's hand operated and it is adjustable. So there is a bit of a learning curve there. We've got another adjustable stripper as well, but again, requires a little bit more experience and a little bit more time with the tool to be able to get out into the field and reliably, repeatably strip these cables. So finally, the last point we'll make before we get to why we're here, seeing the tool in action, is Ripley does have the US16 today, and we'll show the US16 itself and how it works. Customers may already have experience with the US16, but really the US16 MAX just takes that to the next level and allows customers to go from a maximum of a 1/0 cable at 35 kV. Now it's up to 1,000 kc mil at 35 kV. So the US16 MAX is really taking a lot of the core features of the US16 and bringing them to a wider size of offering. There's a significant amount of cable overlap between the 16 and the 16 MAX. And so, customers really who become accustomed to the 16 will find a lot of features they like, but may be able to fully transition to the 16 MAX and still enjoy the broader cable diameter range that the US16 MAX introduces. So again, the full range of the 16 MAX, it's number 2, 15 kV up through 1,000 MCM on the 35 kV, as opposed to the older tool, the smaller tool, which had a number 2 to 250 MCM at 15 kV range up to a 1/0 maximum at 35 kV. So we'll transition now to Arelvis, who's going to run a demonstration of the US16 to start. Just to show some of the capabilities of the tool, how the blade depth, all those things came into action, and then introduce us to the US16 MAX next.
Hello, everyone. This is the US16 with the bushing. Here's on the back side, you can see the screws. You will need to adjust to set the guard for the drill. In this case, it's already set up, so I'm just going to go ahead and attach the drill. On the bottom side, we have the plunger that's used for the bushing. It's a spring-loaded, and it has a position that it will actually would allow you to insert the bushing. Click it. Now it's set into a position. Blade adjustment. And what you want to do is set it on the cable. Let me set up the clamp first to act as a stop. Set the tool on the cable and set the blade so it basically slides over the jacket, and then start bringing the blade down. And what you want to do is that you want to feel a little bit of a drag once you set it over the cable, and you're going to feel that it doesn't slide into the cable. It's that easy to use the US16.
Perfect. Well done.
Thank you.
So now that was a 1/0 cable on the original US16. Now we'll start to get into the reason why we introduced the US16 MAX. So Arelvis, you want to go ahead and pop the US16 MAX onto the same drill?
Mm-hmm. Same concept. The screws to adjust the plate. On the 16 MAX, there's an advantage. In this case, there's a hex drive on the bottom of the blade adjustment that allows you to use a drill or impact tool to drive the blade, as you'll see it. You can quickly move the blade up and down to get the blade out of the way and insert the bushing.
And that's important because with the 16 MAX, with these larger size cables, they've got very thick jackets. And so the bushing itself is actually designed to keep the neutrals themselves from bird caging during the stripping operation. So while we're stripping some of the larger cables, the bushing is preventing the neutrals from getting in the way of the stripping operation. So that's what a relvis means when he's talking about the blade being out of the way to drop in the bushing.
Now that the blade is fully retracted, go ahead and insert the bushing. Lock it in place. Same concept, except it's a larger plunger in this case. Bushing is locked now. Gonna go ahead and set the blade. Same concept as the 16. Gonna set the clamp.
So we set the clamp in a way to measure exactly the strip. So customers, of course, need to strip only a certain amount of cable. And so with the 16 MAX and a clamp, you're able to ensure the exact amount of cable that needs to be stripped is stripped, not more or less.
Gonna bring the blade down so I feel when it's starting to catch. Starting to catch there. Gonna move it over the cable itself. Gonna bring it down. Now I want slide over the cable. Slide it out. This case, it caught a neutral. I just happened to wiggle the tool halfway in, but that's usually the way you can strip it just like the 16 without catching the neutral.
And that's a great demonstration, Elvis. Sometimes, the cable is molded with the neutrals into the jacket, and so it does have to be set exactly so that the blade is going over the neutrals without damaging them. Another issue that I think Aurelvis ran into that he didn't acknowledge, but I'll give him credit for, is the cable itself was curved.
Yeah.
We typically would like to straighten out the cable a little bit more, but we know that in the field there can be a bit of a curve to the cable. So it does take a little bit of trial and error to, I think, get the blade depth set exactly right. But that curvature of the cable, especially to the side, can introduce a little bit of a risk of catching the neutral, which is why we do recommend getting a sample of the cable to Ripley to make sure that we've got the exact right bushing for the cable diameter, and making sure that the operator who sets the blade depth is experienced with the tool and able to take a look at it before beginning operation. Because on that 750, when it's got that curvature to it, it can make a little bit of a difference. So we'll go now to 1000 MCM cable, really the one of the key cables we get asked about the most, just to show exactly how that operation is going to work. So just like before, Aurelvis backed up the blade to be able to remove the bushing, and is going to pop in the new bushing for the 1000 MCM.
It's already locked in place. Going to bring the blade down. And same step. Blade is set now.
There you go. 1000 MCM done in one strip. And Aurelvis, honestly, I mean, you couldn't have picked a tougher cable to work on with just a very short strip length there, but that is as easy as it is. So come back to the wide view here, Brian. That's the 1000 MCM. That's what the US16 MAX is designed for. And really, that's what the power of the tool is. So even with an imperfectly stripped cable, Aurelvis is able to deliver a clean strip and able to allow customers to do that same thing once the bush is set and the blade depth is set. you can use the tool over and over again. Pick it off the cable, put it back on, strip, do the next one. He did about 6 inches. You could do 6 feet with the same amount of effort. It's just getting that blade depth and bushing combination set correctly, and then working your way down the cable. You can do it over and over again all day with no more effort than that. It's a little effort on the front end, and then you're free to go pretty much unhindered. So Brian, let's pop back to the PowerPoint for one more slide. We'll talk to customers about how they can get a little bit more information and then see if there's any questions. So the next steps, as mentioned, Ripley recommends, well, first, this tool, the US16 MAX, the part number is US16 7010. The bushings, which again need to be sized to each cable, are US16-7200- and then they'll have a 4-digit suffix that's going to be determined by the exact bore hole and different dimensions of the bushing. And finally, replacement blade US16-7510. All those tools are available from Ripley today via distribution. And so any customer interested in looking to one can come to any Ripley distributor and get a quote today for a tool. A couple notes I want to make. Ripley recommends a live demonstration with the customer, and really that's to address some of the issues. On that 750 there, you saw a Relvis with that strong curve in the cable ran into a bit of an issue. So we want to talk through things that customers may have seen with their existing tools and help them to make sure that they're selecting the right bushing for the cables that they're going to be running into in the field. Another point for any distributors on the call, those of you who work with other Hubble power systems or Burndy or other parts of Hubble, we'll see that Ripley is not yet fully integrated into the Hubble system. We're not on Hubble Connect. So orders today will need to go through Ripley, and any quotations or orders will go through Ripley_CSR@hubble.com. And the last note I'd like to make is that this US16 MAX pairs very well with our medium voltage underground kit that you'll see in the background behind me. Though customers do typically tend to gravitate towards adjustable tools or bushing-based tools, the 16 MAX is a bushing-based tool, but we've got a full range of adjustable tools as well if customers would like to be able to avoid the bushings and go straight to the cable with the tool itself. And I lied. One more note. There is sales collateral available on ripley-tools.com, or for any questions, reach out to me or the Ripley team via the Ripley website or to myself directly, jsalem@hubble.com. So we've got a few minutes left. I see there's already some questions in the chat. Brian's kind of working the chat box. So Brian, I'll ask you to read them out, and maybe we'll pop back over to the wide view while we're doing that.
Question about what's setting the blade? Would it be easy to have an exact blade setting, something that would be a chart inside the cable case? And it's a good question, and we don't want to overcomplicate it, but as you saw here with the curvature on the cable that we just had to deal with, there's a lot of finessing, especially with the number of clicks being a real fine adjustment. It gives you a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, every cable is a little different. So we always recommend setting that for the cable at the job. Once you've set the cable, the blade for that cable, you're good to go. But it would be very difficult to have a chart because you're always going to be fine tuning that depending on some very simple changes. Could be something temperature dependent too.
Yeah, and also some cables, the concentrics or the jacket is not concentric to the cable, and you're going to run into issues if you try to set it or specify a specific blade setting for each cable.
It is, once you dial it in, it does work pretty well for repeated cuts. You shouldn't have to adjust the blade.
Yeah, typically about 12 to 16 clicks. That's typically what we try to use, but it depends on the cable. And like in this case, it happened to me. The curvature of the cable actually created a problem there.
The other question you got was would this work with PV cable? And yeah, I mean, it definitely would. Probably the standard US16 would work if we're talking a 2 kV PV. We've actually sold a few of the 16s to some guys that are doing dead ends on overhead cable too. So it's not really billed as an installation removal tool, but it does do it, and certainly would be able to do PV.
And then someone asked, how hard is it to replace the stripping blades? And I think we can do a quick demonstration of that right now. And so while Aurelvis is setting that up, maybe we'll flip over to the camera. We can talk about that. So the blades themselves are actually replaceable. So if you are to start chewing through neutrals and damage the blade, you will need to replace it at some point. But we do see the blades are very durable. We manufacture them here in Cromwell, and they're good for up to 1,000 strips on average. They can, of course, be chipped or determined if, damaged if they're running into aluminum or copper cable too frequently. But Aurelvis is going to show now how simple it is to replace the blade. Go ahead, Aurelvis.
Yeah, go ahead and use the driver. And it pops out. And to insert it, just do it the same steps backwards.
So that is the blade in your hand, just so everyone knows that. It looks like a square on the camera. Maybe pull your hand down a little bit, Aurelvis. There you go. So that is the blade itself. If you turn it over, there it is. There's the cutting surface that allows the jacket to be cut. So that's all it is to take it out, and then it's the same motion in reverse to put it back in. There you go. So an impact drill that the lineman probably already has on his truck is all that's needed, really. And you can do it by hand. We have that for ease, but that's what it takes to replace the blade.
Yes, it appears that the blade is, as it's cutting, it's lifting the material.
Yes.
So you wouldn't have to worry about it cutting in too deep after it's set, correct?
Once it's set, it should be okay. I'm gonna try to use this one here so you could probably see it. First, I'm gonna take out the bushing and show a difference between the 16 and the 16 MAX with the bushing. There's the step in the board.
So I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a little step in the bushing there that allows the bushing to, or allows the blade rather. Go ahead, Aurelvis.
It basically guides on the neutral. So when you have the tool set on the cable,
It'll prevent that bird caging, I think is what what you're about to say. It'll stop the neutrals from coming up, even as the blade is sinking into it.
the tool actually, you can let go of the tool and rock the tool, and it will not catch the neutrals.
Because of that step in the bushing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now it's going to be a little bit difficult to insert it, but you can see it here.
There we go.
I'm rocking the tool over the neutrals, and it's set about probably maybe a 1/16 of an inch or a 32nd of an inch above the neutrals. And that allows you to also start the cut every time you need to stop the tool to cut the jacket off.
Thank you.
No, it was a great question. Thank you, and apologies for the audio difficulties.
No
I
problem.
think we're at time, so if there's any other questions, please reach out. You can either reach out to me. My name is, again, or my email address is jselm, JSELM @HUBBELL.com, or your local hub territory manager or any of our tool demonstrators. We'd be happy to help. Check out the US16 MAX page at ripley-tools.com. Thank you, everyone who joined, for your time today, and we look forward to doing another webinar with you again soon. So thank you, everyone. We'll make this webinar recording available to anyone who wasn't able to join. Have a great afternoon.